Mock draft season well underway, and some multiple round mock drafts are what we're looking at this week. Let's take a look at ESPN's Todd McShay. His latest mock draft has the Browns taking Jedrick Wills at 10. Now, the Cardinals, he has taking Tristan Wirfs and Isaiah Simmons going 4 to the Giants. He has the Browns taking Wills with Becton still on the board. Then in the second round, he has the Browns taking a safety from LSU, Grant Delpit, which a big hitter from the LSU Tigers, the national championship team safety, with the second round pick, number 41 overall. Let's move on. Jeff Hansen from Sports Illustrated has Wills going for. He has the Cardinals taking Wirfs. Then he has the Buccaneers trading up to take Andrew Thomas ahead of the Browns. So he has the Browns taking Isaiah Simmons, linebacker from Clemson, and then coming back in the second round and getting a tackle in Ezra Cleveland, offensive tackle from Boise State. And he also has the Browns taking a safety in the third round, Ashton Davis from Cal, who a lot of people like, and then a familiar name to Buckeye fans. He has the Browns later in the third round taking a interior defensive lineman, Devon Hamilton, from Ohio State. And finally, Chad Reuter from CBS has Miami trading up to get Tristan Wirfs at 5, Becton going 6. He has the Browns taking Andrew Thomas, the junior, the tackle from Georgia, with Isaiah Simmons still on the board. Then he has the Browns going guard, Damian Lewis, another one of those LSU Tigers, a guard at 41. Going linebacker with Willie Gay Jr. from Mississippi State at 74. And a safety, Brandon Jones from the Texas Longhorns, going later in the third round. That's Chad Reuter from CBS Sports. Let's talk some more draft with Ellis Williams from cleveland.com, Browns beat reporter. And Ellis, we talked a little bit on the other side of the break. Who are the guys you like at tackle, assuming the Browns go tackle? Who fits the scheme best? Who can you see being the guy that would really work in this system that Kevin Stefanski wants to run, the wide zone scheme?
Yeah, those mock drafts are interesting. The Isaiah Simmons ones I want to comment on real quickly. I just don't see the Browns not addressing left tackle unless something like a Trent Williams trade happens. So I think we're having the right conversation here when we're trying to pick between these 4 tackles because they're not going to let – it gets really thin after those 4, Thomas, Wirfs, Becton, Wirfs, Becton, Thomas, Wills. So, yeah, and with those 4 – I like Thomas. He ran wide zone at Georgia. He actually blocked for Nick Chubb a couple of years ago. So he knows the scheme already. And when you have a guy, look, you can teach this stuff just fine. And I'm sure a guy like Wills can pick it up and would run these concepts great. But when you have a guy who already has the familiarity, especially now, teams have to consider, look, this is probably going to be a draft teams are going to study considering the circumstances everyone's going to be selecting. You're not going to pro days. You're not talking to other teams about who they like and all this chatter. You're at home, you're on your laptop, you're picking out what guys like. So they're going to trust their eyes and they're going to go with familiarity. And that's why I think Thomas is a guy that the Browns are really going to consider and the name Browns fans may want to get familiar with. As I'm saying, he's already running wide zone. His feet show that he has the ability to get outside and remain that power when he gets outside. He has a nice frame. He doesn't overextend himself. He doesn't lose his footing when he's getting out there and trying to be athletic and play on the perimeter with those fast linebackers and safeties. If it's not Thomas, then I think it's worse. This guy's a state champion wrestler in high school and the best vertical in the draft, fastest 40 at the combine. I don't see how this kid can really miss. You hate saying you can't have a can't miss prospect because it's a 50% bust rate in the first round anyway. But just on the athletic tools alone, and when you read stories about this kid, he seems to have his head on straight and is just a hungry player. So between those two guys, they're both capable of coming in and running exactly what Stefanski wants in the wide zone, looking at their feet, looking at their power on the outside to get guys like Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb the ability to create in space.
What do you think about Wills? That's the kid from Alabama. We've already talked a little bit that Becton might not be the best fit just based on that. How does Wills seem to fit into what the Browns might want to do?
Yeah, Wills is, again, I don't think you necessarily can go wrong with Wills, but there's a few things that I think make him not necessarily a match for the Browns. First, he played right tackle due to Tua's left-handed throwing, which technically you're protecting Tua's blind side, but you're still playing right tackle rather than having that left tackle experience. Now, you can say the same thing about Wirfs, who played right tackle at Iowa, but you can watch plenty of tape where they flipped him to the left side, sort of like you do in high school, and he did just fine there. And his athletic tools make him more capable there than I think Will's. Will's feet look great at the combine, and he put up numbers where if this was a normal year at tackle, he probably would be the first tackle taken. But that adds to why the Browns can't pass on either one of these four. In hindsight, it would look really bad if, three of these four become 10-year tackles and two of them become Hall of Famers and the Browns passed on all four. So I think at 10, unless a Trent Williams trade happens, it's going to be a tackle. And for me, it's Thomas or Wirfs, but you can't go wrong with Wells, as you said. And then Becton's that big body who I don't think fits the wide zone. But again, you see a guy with that type of talent walking off the bus, you're going to be happy to run behind him if you're Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt.